seconds remain. It is Radiant Span. Seconds remain. 5 seconds. Dire's turn to ban.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another day of the BTS Pro Series Season 4, powered by Monster Energy. We're kicking it off with Execration taking on Fnatic. And Denog, you know, what, 4 days into the group stages, would you expect Execration to currently be sitting on top of the table?
I would not. They've been impressive so far, and the thing...
Oh.
Am I good now?
There we go, yeah, there we go.
I'm pretty impressed by the fact that they've gotten to this point, but I'm a little relieved too. No Omni, no IO, probably not going to see a Sven come out. It's one of these things that it feels like it's next to unbeatable, but even in a few matches that happened overnight in the European region, it is... You do have counters to it, right? You can either go for something super late game that doesn't actually mind brawling against it. Let's say a troll that's got a blind and a battle trance, so you can live through the immediate cleave. You can go Ursa that's got you know, ramping up damage. You've got enrage as well, or you can just do something that gets a little bit more aggressive. You can
5 seconds remain.
Say a Ricky. You can go a Lifestealer. You can Enchantress and just bully him out of the lane. Even a Timbersaw, which Execration have now banned out for themselves. So there are options. Hopefully we won't be seeing the big sword man today.
Yeah, well, let's see if Fnatic want to get rid of it, because they don't have this first pick Execration holding that one at the moment. So, and there they do get rid of this Sven. So at least we're going to have one game where that hero is not going to get played. We'll see what other carries are going to come out through here. But it's been a while where this Sven has been, you know, pretty busted, and usually when the patch has been around for so long, people will start to find some counters to it and start to, you know, pick up a couple of heroes to that feel at least, you know, mediocre at being able to deal with it. And, you know, looks like finally through Europe they've been able to find a couple, so we'll see if that's going to transition over to Southeast Asia as well.
And I mean, everyone's like always talking about the patch. When is it coming? What's it going to include? Ideally for my I would really love to see it drop on the day between the group stage and the playoffs, right? Because that'd be that all these teams, no one's knocked out, so no one hasn't had, you know, their chance to be able to show themselves in that sort of environment. And yeah, I mean, it's whoever would innovate fastest. It means teams like, you know, your Execrations, assuming they are going to continue through the upper bracket based off this good start that they've had, are going to be able to perhaps take some surprise victories off more seasoned opponent. They haven't played TNC yet, right?
No, I don't believe so. They played Vice, Neon, and Dog yesterday, but 2-0 Team Dog yesterday was pretty... That gave them, I'd say, some validation, considering, yes, they did have a stand-in, but that's still an incredibly high caliber team. So I've been impressed with Execration so far. You know, Fnatic, they're currently sitting in 5th. I mean, we've got 4 teams in 5th at the moment. They're all 2 and 4. It's very, you know, tight-knit. Honestly, what, yesterday we had 4 teams in 1st place and then 4 teams in 5th, I think. So it was very, you know, close together. Finally, Execration have been able to kind of get a little bit ahead. So let's see if they can continue doing that. And Fnatic needing to try and pick up some momentum. But they have played some of the more difficult teams, TNC, Motivate, and T1 as well.
5 seconds remain. It is Radiant Span.
Coming through from Ken, and yeah, he definitely made it work. Talk about the aggressive styles, though. Both of these, very much that, you know, Enchantress, Lifestealer, super early timings, good in lane. Though you have to consider how good is a Lifestealer going to be against a Viper once that Viper strike is available. You know, those heroes that needs a little bit of extra mobility. Yes, you're fast naturally, but AP piercing slow coming Viper ultimate can be pretty deadly.
Is this going to be a pretty awkward lane as well, considering it's going to be the ranged melee matchup, so Lifestealer can't really utilize that sustain factor with the Feast?
They might even opt to go for like a tri lane, let's say, on Fnatic, just for the very start. Get a couple of kills perhaps into the Viper. You are still quite weak early on. Like I mentioned just before, Lifestealer, good base movement speed, same thing with the Enchantress. Might opt for something like a Blightstone just so that you get that extra attack damage in onto him. And, you know, if you can bully the Viper out, give Lifestealer a decent start, right-click damage is the way to deal with him. I'd like to see that sort of thing. Fnatic, whether it be a Tusk, you see from there, I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, that looks really strong actually. I was thinking about it because you got the combination, like both Lifestealer and Enchantress are going to keep someone inside the tag team with the open wounds in the enchant slow, and then you're able to, that's a hero who can start in the tri lane, get a couple kills, and then head to the other side of the map. You know, we've also seen the Wind Ranger be a pretty decent way to deal with the Viper throughout our past couple of games so far, so we'll see the priority Fnatic want to try and pick it up here for Moon potentially.
I think there's the potential.
10 seconds.
He's played it before during BTS Pro Series 4. It's not out of the equation, but I feel like Lifestealer Enchantress is enough to be able to deal with the Viper. I don't think you need to go all the way into that. But they're just picking up something nice and safe, something very strong in the Leshrac. Don't mind that either. You know, you talk about all this high mobility. Well, that's 3 heroes with very good base movement speed stats. 10 to 3.
10 seconds.
And that gives you a relatively decent way to be able to take objectives now as well, like the Enchantress taking over a creep, having that extra health pool so it can kind of tank the tower a little bit more. Lesh can come through with the Edict. We've seen the power of the Leshrac just through, you know, game after game now. It does give you some flexibility. You can kind of play it in a 4. It feels like that's only got a big value when you've got a 3 who has a stun to set up, but more than likely, you know, we'll see this hero be played for Moon.
Yeah. I'm liking it. It's... I love seeing these heroes just rise from the ashes, you know. It was absolutely nowhere in the meta. No one was picking Leshrac. People were even saying Leshrac Ags is one of the worst in the game, and then suddenly, bam, you know, someone makes it work. It fits the meta, it fits this team fight style, and yeah, taking the ball and run with it.
Seems like it's also getting heavily enabled with, you know, how many Omni Knights we're seeing, and kind of the Abba and the Io just really enabling this Leshrac. But Execration, they go for an Ancient Apparition, so maybe following up with like Void's actually banned out, so I was thinking they might go AA into the Void here, but I guess it's a nice way to kind of that Ice Blast. They do need a setup though.
Need a setup, and there's nothing right now other than the Tiny that's going to stop them if they just run at you. You know, Ancient Apparition, very squishy, has no escapes for himself. I feel like he'll be dying a fair amount this game. You know, you might get off some good Ice Blasts in the process, and maybe the team will win the team fight, but going to be the main target. Fnatic to be checked.
That's going to make it even.
Clockwork's just as good.
That's...
Yeah. We were talking about the Tusk before. Clockwork fulfills this sort of niche, right? Catch up. Can battery assault lasts for a lot longer, so you're not required to catch them within a tag team to burst them down. If they do, like I was assuming, opt to go for the Blightstone, then of course it's very effective there as well. And you know, if you're trying to contest against a Tiny too, pretty crappy armor on the Tiny, and if now it's in the negatives, he's gonna take in a ton.
I'm intrigued about the Spectre pick, because I thought they were going to try and go for, if you pick an AA, it's really nice to be able to have at least a position 1 with the stun to really set up for the cold feed. It does give you some nice kill potential. So I thought, you know, if they weren't going to go, because they couldn't pair it with the Faceless Void for the big team fight combo, and I thought they might try and go to the route at least kind of enabling the Ancient Apparition to maybe, you know, find some kills, but I guess the Spectre Dagger Slow, and maybe if the Tiny's there as well, but it kind of now relies Tiny to help out.
10 seconds remain.
He's just going to go a bit more into the
5
chilling touch instead. Try and bully people out of lane as much as possible. Yes, that's not really what you pick AA for, but I think it's more a matter of necessity. And, you know, just one value point into the Ice Vortex as well. When the Tiny combination starts to become a factor, you're going to be able to basically one-shot everyone except for the Lifestealer.
10 seconds.
So just the mid, you would assume, for Execration that's yet to come. Ken's been playing some fantastic Dota so far. We've seen his puck, we've seen Rack, he's played Queen of Pain times as well. So keen to see what he breaks out this time around. He kind of reminds me, you know, of Yopaj, the Fearless style, where just hyper aggressive, always trying to make things happen around the map, which means Tiny is a possibility coming through from Tiny, but they lacking a little bit. There's very little lockdown so far this game. You know, Clockwork, it's not super reliable. The Shrag, Tiny probably is the most reliable, but it requires a good build-up into that Blink Dagger first before you can really start to make that kind of impact. So maybe, you know, some sort of catch potential.
Do you think one of the Spirit Heroes potentially?
Potentially.
Thinking, well, with the Doom ban, I think Void Spirit always gets enabled now. It's one of the better ways to deal with that hero, and it at least gives you some way to go in, which you have when the Tiny gets the blink, but there's not a lot of control from Fnatic, and I want them to have at least a setup for the A. This pick has to at least have a stun. That's what I'm trying to require here for Execration.
Yeah, I'm thinking Storm Spirit. I would be going with. You're not a melee hero into the less track, assuming mid, so that, yeah, you're a little vulnerable to an Ench Clockwork rotation that might be coming, but it also gives you that increased global presence, right? You can just zip in from afar, AA Blast comes, Tiny sets up, Haunt in, you're able to burst down anyone, and that's including the Lifestealer once you that orc finish.
And the puck, okay, what are they going to go for here? They'll pick up the stun, there you go. That's cool.
Well, I mean, any sort of game where you're going up against, you know, only a couple of stuns and they're really long wind-ups for it, and none of these heroes build an orchid either, you're very happy to pick a storm. It's just the best of the spirits that were remaining against a ranged hero.
5 seconds.
Makes sense.
As the game goes on, though, I definitely don't mind the Lesh against the Storm. That your Scepter is going to be a perfect setup to be able to bring him down, and they only have the Clockwork follow-up, which is the issue. So will they have the damage to kill the Storm throughout those 2 stuns is really going to be the question.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be then on the Tiny to see how he's going to play around this. As soon as you see that Yul Scepter pick up from the Lash, the Tiny just needs to play near the Storm all the time. So if there is that engagement that tends to happen, he just comes in with an Avalanche. It doesn't need to kill the Lash, it just needs to make sure that the Storm's able to survive.
Let's see what they want to try and pick here for, I imagine it's going to be, yeah, Matsaros' hero. We have seen a lot of teams banning out, and
I want to see Mars. Oh wait, it's banned.
Mars gone. Well, let's see, what do they got? They're gonna choose Mars. Okay. Well, my issue for Execration with the Spectre and the Storm, I feel like they're pretty slow. Like Spectres, you can join fights with Haunt, Blade Mail at least kind of allows you to come online a little bit earlier. But if Storm has a rough game too, like you can really start to fall behind, and Fnatic are going to be able to take objectives early, and they don't have the greatest way to be able to protect their lanes here from Execration. Like Viper can chuck out a Nether Toxin, but you know, AA doesn't have wave clear, Spectre doesn't really if they're taking objectives, you know, Storm can't get on top of it. So, and you also take a look, I guess the AA Spectre though can kind of deal with the Beastmaster summons like the Chilling Touch and the Dagger, so that's one thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, especially level 1. I think that's the thing that you need to be watching in terms of how the laning stage is going to go. If they're able to get a couple of kills onto the boar before Beastmaster hits level 3 and gets that boost in HP for the boar, it goes from 50, that's going to heavily decide how this lane goes, because then RR with his, assuming he goes the Chilling Touch, that provides an extra 50 damage to his 50 that he's already. You've got 75 from the Dagger, so it's only a couple of right clicks beyond that that you then need to take out the boar, give yourself a nice boost in experience, and go a long way towards winning the stage against what is a very strong hero in the...
So for game 1 here between Execration Fnatic, what's the pick? Is there a draft you're favoring in particular?
If are we just talking purely draft, like who has won the draft, not who is going to win the game?
Well, who's going to win? Who's going to win? Who's going to win?
It's so hard, man. Like you can. Oh man, is that Clockwork's skin weird for you as well?
Yeah, it's bugged. Yeah.
It's on. But like so much of this game comes down to execution. Like I said, when that Leshrac has the Yule Scepter, if Tiny's not around and Storm dies a couple of times, then Fnatic's gonna win. If Masteros feeds away a few boars, then Execration have a much higher likelihood to. There's so many variables in this could potentially influence the result. And like we're expecting, it looks like 3 heroes going for a tri-lane at the very start. You've got the slow, 2 slows actually, on battery assault. No light stone, a little bit of the extra damage on the end, I think is fine as well.
See even the ancient apparitions, the one with the Blightstone at the moment. Just gonna try and get a couple right clicks out throughout the lane here. We'll see how Ara's able to play that one as well. I'm excited to see if Fnatic are going to be able to put a lot of pressure on early. I think this is a lineup where I'd probably favor Execration as the game goes on, considering the lack of lockdown, I should say, they have to deal with the Storm, and then Spectre looks like he should just be able to kind of take over as the game does progress. So Fnatic can kind of get some control and really start to have an advantage and really, you know, suffocate Execration in a portion of the map. Otherwise, you know, they are pretty reliant on BDZ having a good game, getting an early, you know, blink here from Storm as well, if you can get like an early Orchid. So it's all right now on Fnatic how they're able to play the early game.
Play the laning stage as well as when these rotations start to come, DJ and the clock. I'm keen to see when they start to make their moves, how they're going to influence the lanes to make sure that their core isn't going to be punished all too hard, because you do have a lot of right-click attack on both sides. You know, a hero left on their own for much as 15 seconds is going to go down. Huzzah!
Let's take a look how the Lesh is going to end up faring versus the Storm Spirit in the mid lane. Trying to, you know, I've been very impressed with how he's been performing so far throughout the group stages on the position 2 for Execration. So, you know, going up against one of the better mid laners here in the Southeast Asia region in Moon. So, you know, we'll see how he's able to fare in this matchup.
Where are you going?
Side BDZ, he's doing a good job trying to go for the pull, but this is always the difficulty going up against an Enchantress. You get a good amount of Ras off, but BDZ, he plays a little bit of those mind games, you know, block the small camp as well as having his ward there. Be able to survive for that little bit long.
You see, they didn't start with jabs at least trying to kill off the Clockwork early on here, so I guess the Viper getting out of that kind of threshold where is, you know, the weak point early on, where we see some teams try and set up with the trial in and bring him down pretty early, but this is going to at least give Masteros a little bit of help here, as you know, we already see that, you know, Execration trying to do whatever they can to really deal with the ball.
They're trying, but it hasn't died yet. So, well, the first one that they had expired, the other one as well. That first blood, so nice job here on Masteros, and he's got quite a lot. Oh, hello, okay. Cast a curse.
Just feeds a good old boar away. As soon as we were saying he was doing pretty well to be able to protect it. See our jabs. I mean, the ancient apparition, if you get caught out of your position here in this lane, you are going to be in a whole world of herders. They've got a massive wave coming under the tower though, so there's going to be a lot of experience for Fnatic's duo down bot.
Actually went for the rocket. Still keeping the point up until nearly the 2.5 minute mark, just to make sure he's able to secure that battery assault. Now they're going to try and disrupt this pull. Quite get it off. That last pesky Wild Wing making Jabs have to go a bit more into harm's way, but be able to get away with his tango.
Oh, Corio, don't give it away. We'll end up losing, unfortunately. Ara's going to take a decent amount of damage, although you see once they deal with the ball, Masteros unable to really continue on, but he does have the level 3 now, and Jabs is also 2.5, so this is, you know, if Jabs can get level 3 relatively soon, then they can definitely put a lot of pressure on with that level timing.
Double the attack damage on the boar, double the slow, more health. Yeah, a little bit more difficult here. Jabs, he's getting closer. He's doing a good job making sure he's securing these range creeps. I hope to get this Ripper. He does. So he done. Taken away, and he's making sure Yori knows about it.
DJ up top though, first one's gonna come through as he's stuck out in the river. Rapido with the 2 points up in the poison attack. That's another hero who gets a pretty high power spike with every level that he picks up in his queue. So, you know, just finding the Enchantress, who looks like was trying to disrupt the Tiny. And now this is gonna mean the Enchantress might not be able to contest the power rune here. He's actually gonna try and TP mid to still get involved, but...
Bottle refill. Gets it just in time.
Now it's just gonna zone it back. Is it top or bot? Oh, it's bot. At least Jabs is already here. And he's kind of baiting at the moment, trying to not show himself, but I guess they'd be pretty aware considering the Clockwork hasn't shown bot at the moment. So Moon back control, that's gonna feel nice because he already got the refill from the TP back from the Enchantress, and now he gets an extra 3 bottle charges with the Arcane.
It's gonna feel nice, but Ken, he's already had a nice laning stage as well. You can see he's basically a full wave ahead in terms of 2 waves in terms of last hits and denies. The priority was being given over to the Tiny, getting the stacks off, starting to build things up with the Spectre, so that once that Blade Mail starts to come into the equation, well, DJ might be going down again.
Just catching him out there. You see him again. We were speaking about down bot with the Ancient Apparition. You know, if he gets caught out of position, but it's kind of the same with DJ as well. With the Tiny and the Viper can really punish them.
The big benefits of having a high magic damage support. You can deal with the Enchantress even once she hits up into a 6.
Can see if they've got any stacks right now. Looks like Ken does one have by the triangle, the hard. None at the moment for the Leshrac, which we do see pretty commonly, you know, around the top side of that mid lane here, where you can just pull the camps together and farm it incredibly efficiently. Is although Ancient Apparition, and something denied to the neutrals then.
Tactical. I mean, I think with the reason behind there not being quite as many stacks is that one, DJ is doing what he's doing right now. He's just taking some of the farm for himself, as well as making sure to secure the river runes. Obviously, you can't be nearby to stack and protect those runes. Just a little bit of a trade-off that you have to take. So, farm game going a little bit more in favor of Execration. Fnatic disappointed either, you know. They're keeping it relatively even against a Spectre, which is always a little bit of a concern, but no huge stacks for Execration.
Looks like they might actually think about trying to force out the Viper here, but he's kind of scurrying himself through the tree lane. So looks like Raven's gone for a Midas this game. You a fan of it here so far?
I'm also almost never a fan of the Midas, but I guess if you're going for the late game, right, you're going up against a Spectre. Got decent enough early game with this Viper, Tiny. I don't hate it, but I don't know. I just feel like Lifestealer has so many potential options in his kit that why ruin it with a month?
Yeah, it's like Spectre's taking a little bit of damage down bot with Mastros extra point up in the ball. Jab's thinking about coming over as well. They do have a pretty big creep wave here if they want to end up diving, and it looks like, yeah, they're going to end up doing so. Jabs will move forward. Creeps are going to come over, but they don't really tank up the battery assault at the moment. BDZ with the TP as well. Level 4 gets a combination out on top of the Beastmaster. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade at the moment. Mastros, he does still have some boards as well to slow down the Tiny, but Storm's going to show up as well. But the zip forward, Ken gets involved there, so Fnatic, they lose 2. Ken's even going to be able to take a nice stack as well while he's down here.
Good little bait coming through there. RR might have been able to live for that tiny little bit longer. He just kept walking away from his creep wave and tanking all the hits of the battery assault, but
Dire are scanning for enemy.
Going to be pretty happy with feeding a few more importantly, experience over to his...
There is little.
The Chords have had a very good laning stage so far. You see Storm top of the net worth, sorry, top of the last hits. He's not doing top of the net worth at the moment, but you know, Spectre's a little bit more closer in that regard. And you know, this is going to be a very, very early blade mail getting picked up for the Spectre. So this is going to allow him to be able to fall back and farm up the jungle, and which can just give the lane over to one of the supports, you know, probably BDZ, just so he can get towards the blink dagger and kind of the levels for his combo. Even the AA, that Ice Blast getting picked up pretty early is nice.
Killing spree.
Tetris dead, yeah, he actually ended up TPing down to the tier 2 tower. Honestly, I think even if he went back to base, he would have ticked out from the Viper Strike damage, but DJ's dead 3 times now. surprising for a hero like an Enchantress that's so strong in the laning stage, which, you know, is why I was like, well, why aren't they putting the Clockwork together with Lifestealer and the Edge to start off with? Because Viper, now he's had the start that he wants. You know, he hasn't been completely binned in the lane. Sure, he's not top of the net worth or close to it, but as long as you're not dying, you're pretty happy with it. And on top of that, he's actually got the 3 kills.
Yeah, I actually thought the Viper, he has had a solid lane, 3 kills, but it just still goes to show that even Lifestealer with the Feast is just going to be able to kind of, you know, out-sustain even the damage that the Viper has. I mean, they were putting a lot more aggression on top of the Clockwork, and I wasn't paying too much attention to the lane with how aggressive they were playing on Raven, but he actually did a lot better than what I was expecting. I mean, already Midas picked up. He's even got a good old Iron Talon available as well, so that's just going to further increase his farm.
Now, is that the bleeded phase? No, just the Blades of Attack for now.
Never rage quits.
Looks like Dire want to try and link up down bot where the Beastmaster's already trying to put some pressure on top of the wave. They do see is the jungle, and yeah, with the vision as well coming through from the flare, but they're going to be careful. Execration, they're going to need some rotations, otherwise they're just going to lose 2 supports down here with the rotation from Fnatic. RR will fall, and BDZ is along, will join in too, although Moon's taking a lot of damage, and with the Avalanche toss, they actually want to try and contest this. Coming forward, the Spectre, he's got the Blade Mail, so it's going to have to force Fnatic back. They won't be able to continue on. Them themselves also don't have any more rotations, so it looks like it's going to be a 1-for-1, and you see the Spectre getting involved, gets a kill. They further keep that tower alive for a little while longer, and that's a big kill as well on top of the Leshrac.
Taking away a few more of the bounties as well, although Raven, he's positioned well to be able to take the few away from the Execration side of things. I like their target prioritization. They made sure to put the Raw onto the Tiny so that he doesn't get the counter initiate off. They're able to secure the kill, but Blade Mail, like you mentioned, coming in so clutch really early on into the piece. So if a Leshrac dives super deep and he's like, oh, I'll be able to get away with my high movement speed, he's almost got that Yule Scepter, but Blade Mail don't care about that if you've got the Pulse Nova and the Edict going. It's maxed out, by the way. Yeah,
so I mean, maxing out that Pulse Nova now, it gives you a lot of potential to be able to take the objectives, yeah, but it's the farm can start. I mean, still Edict's a pretty nice ability to be able to farm, but you know, the Lightning Storm with higher points, it's just got a little bit lower of a cooldown. So it still feels like Fnatic, you know, with the the abilities, they really want to try and take the objectives on top of that kind of the Ice Blast as well. Tiny will end up falling, but they get the combination with the Ice Blast. Storm's going to be careful though; doesn't have too much mana to follow up with afterwards. They already did with Raven. Even Viper's going to end up dropping as well. Moon just unable to find the connection in that split Earth, but Execration, they're going to end up losing 2 heroes down here just for the kill on Raven.
And the tower. They've got the Inner Beast, they've got the Siege Creep, they've got the Edict. I thought they might have tried to commit a little bit further onto Jabs, considering he did get affected by the Ice Blast, was sitting at around 25% HP. Would have only taken a couple of last hits, but, sorry, right clicks. But just wanting to all in onto the Lifestealer. It makes sense. Yori's getting a good amount done on the side of the map, so I think he's not going to be all that concerned.
And Ken as well is getting closer and closer towards this second Oblivion Staff. Is 101, 107 last hit, so we'll see how involved he's going to be able to get and utilizing as well. But Jabs with the hooks forward, he's now completely out of mana, and yes, Storm's just going to pay the price here. The combo with the Clockwork and the Leshrac, very nicely done from them, and he's going to have an Arcane, and they might think about trying to bring all the numbers mid if they want to wrap through behind and maybe catch a support in the back, because they've even got that Hawk for vision too.
See there, Moon just needs to stand in these trees. He doesn't take any damage from it all. BDZ gonna go down. Oh, yes, gets caught up by Jabs. That good movement speed. And more charges for the urn.
This is going to be a big combo to watch for Fnatic. The Lesh and the Clockwork, the Lesh and the Beastmaster, really these 2 heroes are going to be able to get involved very early on across the map. And that's another, you know, that bottom tower took a little bit longer than maybe they were hoping for Fnatic to be able to claim. But instantly going mid afterwards and getting that tower at a pretty good timing here is, you know, now going to allow Moon to fall back, take some stacks, and then
here he's got the Orchid basically finished up. He just needs one more of these creeps. Just jabs up the hook shot. No, in 2 seconds. But this is their time. Horns back off cooldown. You've got the Orchid. You've got the Atos completed on Rapido. So you can see they're clumping together. They're going to go for a smoke.
See where they can find at the moment. Radiant, they do see DJ and Masteros at the bottom outpost here, so Fnatic, or they could be in trouble actually. They're going to look so forward on Jabs straight on top of the Ancient Apparition, will drop the Ice Block. Meanwhile, simultaneous jump from Ken. He's going to be able to clean up off DJ. Can you get the TP out there? No, you can't. So Jabs will fall to 2 for 1. You try and you see the play that the Clockwork's trying to do. Like every fight you're going to jump the Ancient Apparition, but Execration smoking up with their item timings. It's just Dota 101. As soon as you get these items, you're communicating with the team, recognizing that how strong you are, and really trying to utilize that to your advantage.
And it's a good realization by Fnatic that this is around the time that all of those key items are going to come up. They didn't catch the smoke out, they didn't catch the smoke, but this Hawk to the right of the Radiant Tier 2 tower in the mid lane is the one that enabled that hook shot to happen. So obviously thinking he might be able to just get a solo pick off against the AA, but gets turned around though.
Masteros could be in trouble here. Pops in with these incredibly tanky double bracer and the treads, but they're even going to commit the horn, and man, they still shred through it. Nicely done from Execration, and they do have to commit the horn for that, and looks like Dire want to try and punish this. They're going to smoke up. Jabs, he's infested. They don't have the vision at the moment. BDZ's going to get scouted. The creep's actually blocking up the hook shot potential here. He'll get rid of one, and now, oh no, didn't find the angle.
That was an infested well, so that would have been a good amount of damage to be able to delay out a few of these extra timings coming through. Got a 4-star here on Rapido, always a necessity when you go against that Clockwork. And I mean, how many times do you see a Tiny go for? Not that many, but I think he might be forced after picking up Blink Dagger in about 700 gold.
It's such a good forced off game. Like, Kite's the life stealer. What's happening down bot actually? Storm Spirit's going to get caught out, but I brought up the Ulisceptor factor of the Leshrac, and when you've got the damage coming through so far, just that one stun is enough. He doesn't have a defensive item, and he's not too tanky either, only 1100 HP, but Fnatic, with this team, look at the 4-stars, what it do. Kite's the life stealer, gets you out of the cogs. It's going to be really nice as well to kind of disrupt a Raw and Leshrac combo on some of the more healthy targets. So, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if Tiny goes back to it after the blink.
Rapido just with a little bit of a misplay there, using the Atos on a creep instead of a Clockwork, so Lust was committed, didn't end up killing him. They even BDZ up towards the top side, so he's not going to get the kill. He'll get the creep wave though, only 100 gold away from that.
See how much emphasis Fnatic have been putting on this bottom side of the map. They're really looking to try and control it up and at least give some protection for Raven just to continue farming throughout the jungle, because Execration kind of have to push through bot to really get to the triangle. And they can wrap through mid, but it is a little bit of a difficult angle depending on how, if this Fnatic's bottom side is shoved in.
Job to prevent that though. Viper, it's just got the 1 point in the Nether Toxin, very standard build. Wanting the magic resistance against the high damage coming through Flesh. He's the one that's going to be getting active right now, especially after they see the minus through on the line. It's been a little bit of time since we've had a bit of a check-in with Raven. He's got the armlet going into its Sange after that.
Dumbo. Jump Masteros here, Zip trying to set up for the ice block, and we'll be able to find the connection, and this was all enabled by the vision. I was literally just about to say that the Beastmaster has been doing such a good job with the Hawks around this tier 2 bot, scouting out Execration, but they've been attempting to go through the jungle, but Fnatic at that top outpost, Jabs just got a D-ward, but it was still at least alive for long enough to be able to scout out 2 heroes from Fnatic running top, so instantly Execration beeline to their own jungle to try and pick off Masteros, and this is going to be a game of information where you've got the Clockwork, you've got the Beastmaster, even the Enchantress as well. We've seen in particular in some previous games the potential, the vision that you can gain from the creeps as going to dive forward here. They're going to try and jump the back. Meanwhile, Tiny as well to jump the Clockwork here. They've got the horn. 2 supports going to get brought down. Fnatic, they're going to TP in the Beastmaster here. They want to try and dive in Rapido. Doesn't have the Atos, but it looks like now with all their heroes, they're going to be able to take the tier 1 tower.
There is little hope for Dire's middle tower.
We're able to get rid of that observer ward, but I think when your two heroes do Masteros actually getting
Move forward, BDZ with count onto the backline here. They're trying to deal with the Spectre. Look at the damage to the left side. He pops the blade but a little bit too late. Now Repeater's going to be the next target as well. Storm, he's got a little bit of mana, but the infested up Leshrac is going to get this bonus health pool to be able to utilize it. Now Ken could be in trouble. He's only got 12 mana region at the moment here, but now BDZ with count on top of the back. They find Moon. Perfect combo with that follow-up in the ice bath. Ken still getting chased under the tower. Just up on the high ground. Raven's going to be able to chase him down though. This life sealer just putting the pressure on. You might be able to deal with the other heroes on Fnatic, but Raven too strong at the moment.
Good attempt there by RR. He went over, popped the mango onto the Storm Spirit so he could zip onto that high ground, but wasn't enough to be able to make him survive. Did they onto the mid tower as well? So a little bit more gold being fed through to Fnatic. Gold swing there. It was only left on 8 HP, so I was like, man, just right click on it, man. Been a nice little swing coming through from them, but to be able to Jabs down and kill Moon is pretty big. Jabs is going to go down as well.
Doesn't matter. His Ice Blast up. Chilling Touch is going to secure it. They do have a DD on Raven. They want to try and do something with the ward up on the high ground by the triangle, so kind of be careful on the Spectre. Looks like it's just making sure they're not doing grosh to the mirror. But now you do see, like, I mean, Tiny and Storm is now their jump potential for this Ice Blast. It's not kind of a Spectre. He's in trouble here. Masteros is coming over as well. He's got the roar up in a couple of seconds. If he can close the distance nice enough from Tiny, get some space. The Impetus is going to do a lot of damage. Actually brings it towards Moon, who was coming through the lane. So Fnatic, they find two, and Roche might be an opportunity for them. They don't have the double damage rune, but they are kind of making their way towards the pit.
No way of knowing the Storm Spirit's there. I suppose it's the only place remaining that he could possibly be, but play a little bit more passively unless he goes for big plays coming through. Doesn't have the BKB just yet. Should maybe think about it. Yeah, he even freed up the item spot on Ken, but too much at this stage.
We see Jabs is also transitioning to the Aghanims, just trying to pick that one up pretty early. It's just going to give them the extra control with the overclocking, considering, you know, we highlighted that that's something they were lacking at the moment, and it's also they're going to be a BKB Pierce as well with that extra hook shot.
It's a really vital Aegis to be able to achieve for Fnatic, because it just feels like with this Execration roster, you need every single haunt timing, you need to make something happen. And now that you've got the 2 lives on the Lesh, it's going to be so much harder. Not just having, you know, the full mana pool, which means you can potentially burn that Pulse Nova a little bit faster by toggling it twice as fast.
Up on the high ground to Masteros. Yeah, it's a great spot to be. Rocket Flare's going to scout them. So Apple the pops the pie. It's a legend matter magic immunity, but it's not going to matter. Beast Pass is still the full target. They're going to try and counter initiate here. Can they control up Ken? They won't, but it looks like they want to deal with the rest of the heroes. Tiny needs a lot of the damage. Can he get chased down with the force up? Gets him some space. They'll turn their attention to the Viper Execration. They've already lost 2, and they need to try and disengage here. The TP out from the rest. BDZ is underneath the Hawk, so he's in trouble.
Just goes straight down to that bottom side with the Boots of Travel. He's got the Siege Creep there, he's got the Edicts. They're going to be forced to pop. Is it even going to be worth using the Glyph? Probably not. Down regardless.
And now this could be a pretty decent timing here from Fnatic. I mean, they only lost Masteros and Radiant. They did have to use the Haunt there for that fight. So knowing that the big ultimate here for the Spectre's on cooldown, we might see Fnatic try and continue taking some more objectives here. They got the tier 1 top if they want it. You know, still a tier 2 tower in the mid lane as well.
And at the start of that fight, after the hookshot came back in, he just booked it out of there. Same thing with the Spectre. Right now, it feels like they're just taking a kill wherever they can get it. When it does need to be a little bit different. You know, they need to get multiple kills each time these engagements happen, which again further highlights the importance of that Aegis. They've got it for another 3 minutes or so. So Fnatic, they're just going to be pressing their advantage, playing a little bit more ballsy, greedy, fearless. Might have any right to, but you can see why seconds left on that one timer.
Lesh utilizing the illusion rune actually to get rid of the ASOS. Protected with the force thanks to the Viper. So you know, we see that change a while ago with the illusion, which you know previously felt like didn't do much at all, but at least now you know it has kind of that Manta aspect of it.
Hit up by BDZ. Away, so it's going to slow down some of this push. Exactly what he needs to be doing, and he is going in for that 4-staff on the Tiny.
Yeah, well, they've already got one on the ASOS, one on the Viper as well. So now this extra force, you just recognize that the mobility is going to be incredibly important as this game continues on. But let's see what Radiant opt to try and do here. It doesn't look like they feel too comfortable with trying to fight into this Aegis that Fnatic have. At
least until they've got the Haunt, and it's still 20 seconds away. Ideally, they would like to even have the level 18 on the Spectre, so you've got that extra 20 seconds of time. Is able to have. And you go to where the easiest farm is on the map right now in the lane. He's saying, please guys, you gotta wait. We've given up this tier 2 tower. It kind of has to happen just so that I can have this level 8.
They're smoking up to try and head some bot in the jungle to see if they can catch someone out here, but it does leave Moon now solo, who's a bit away from the team. But again, Radiant, they don't have much vision at the moment. They're seeing no one but the Lesh in the lane, so it might feel a little bit more difficult for them to be able to find the jump. Now there we go, actually Fnatic's going to move forward straight on top of the Viper. Force gives him some space, but it doesn't matter. They're going to be able to bring him down to start. BDZ wants to counter forward, toss back to Clockwork, Jab's a little bit too far away from the rest of the team, but it looks like Tiny. It does cost him his life there to find that kill for the clock. So it's going to be a 2-for-1, but Fnatic get all the remaining outer towers now with this Aegis, and they still have it for another 35 seconds here.
Didn't use the Haunt though, so that's a big win coming through from Execration. I thought maybe the Viper could have lived, not quite in position to use his 4-staff. They start to build him up, and as they get these kills onto the Tiny, it just means it's going to take longer and longer, various layers of save. But level 18 on the line here, on the Vector.
They might actually go in though. Trying to D-wall, well, they thought they weren't there on the higher ground, but he's going to be unfortunately wrong there as Raven is just sitting around the observer. But Hem's going to move forward there with the BKB. He doesn't have the age, he's going to be careful with the Execration. They tried to time it up hopefully now with the Haunt forward, but he's going to get protected. I think defense now, they're going to go back in with the ball. Control the storm through the BKB. It's just about to wear off, so it allows the Leshrac to find follow-up stun. Spectre's in trouble here, tries to disengage with the dagger, but it looks like they haven't still found anyone from Fnatic. A beautiful attempt just doesn't go in their favor. The positioning from the rest of Fnatic coming over that infest bonus health as well, and what almost was a cute play for them to go back in. You just see the raw control through the magic immunity, and Storm got dropped.
It was the right idea. You know, you had the Spectre up. He has his Haunt available. You have really good understanding of the Aegis timing and know that that's the win condition right now for Execration. They just managed to get away on the Spectre, and it looks like he's going back and forth between these different items. He's like, do I need a basher? Do I need more health? Regardless of what happens, you just need something, because you're 16k net worth behind. If you die, the game is over. It doesn't matter if you buy back or not. You just need to be able to give yourselves some kind of win condition as this Spectre, as this hard carry.
And at the moment, we just see that Raven's Midas really paying off, and the fact that Fnatic have kind of been controlling the map for a while now, where they've just been able to increase how many camps and how many lanes they're really able to farm, and we just see his net worth skyrocketing for the lifesteal, and they're just going to continue trying to control the wards that they have at the moment around the triangle. That's Ags as well now for Jabs.
And he's infested, by the way, so as soon as they see someone, probably going to be BDZ here, perhaps. It's nighttime, so don't know the full vision of him. It's the difference that seconds make. You know, RR went forward, he tried to get that Observer Ward removed, but Tiny still had about 5 seconds left on his death timer, so he wasn't there to make this counter-initiate happen. The thing that has looked positive for Execration in this game 1 of the day.
Down bot, Jabs, they're not infested up. They've only got 2 heroes here for Fnatic. They've got to be careful because the rest of the team haven't glimpsed up just yet. But now with the combo, let's see if they can get them first. Perfect time and chain lockdown. Storm's going to pay the price. And they're retreating away to the rest of Fnatic here. They cancel the TP on top of the Viper. Let's see if Masros can catch another. The quick blink is going to hold their life, but it looks like Viper will cancel the price. Oh, Raven with the back. Nicely done. The bash is coming through. The beautiful play from Fnatic. I mean, utilizing that the Aghanims there, the control for the Storm, and you see the rest of Fnatic, you know, pincering them in, making sure there was no opportunity to be able to retreat back behind the lane there, and you know, really just the execution from Fnatic this game has been so on point.
A little less cohesive this time around from Execration, something that I'm somewhat surprised about, especially considering how effective that was to all of their victories in the previous 3 series that they've played. But Fnatic, they're playing this pretty damn well.
Just making sure Execration don't get enough breathing room to really be able to make it into the late game at the moment, and down 20,000 gold, it's going to be very difficult to get to that stage here. As Fnatic, they're cracking. It's going to be a melee Rax advantage now for them. They'll hold the range, but you still see, I mean, this was all without that Aegis as well for the previous couple of minutes here. So that's, Roche is going to be up in 40 seconds. We're still going to see Dire try and control the air breeding. They really want to utilize that ward that they placed previously on the Tiny, so they're going to make a movement through, smoked up. You've got to be careful because they aren't going to be underneath the Observe ward, and Jabs will pop a beautiful placement now for the clock where Ken can try and take out the ward, going to be pop, but they ring down the line, so they might be able to do something. The orc nicely done. Perfect time to be able to initiate on top of it. Now they're going to try and continue for more. Smashers played surprise spin, however. So got a decent amount of health and mana to be able to utilize here. Continue up on the high gun. Pops the BKB. Is going to chase away the Viper, who can't man fight the Leshrac at the moment. Spectre's going to be pretty careful as well. I don't think he's got the damage to be able to deal with the Lesh, but now with the BKB expiring, it looks like Moon is going to try and dip out of there. TJ almost kills off RR, but playing around with the fog keeps his life, and now it's going to allow Execration to be able to find 4 kills here. DJ. They got the sentry, they do. Nicely done. Meanwhile, what's happening mid? Ken trying to find the Leshrac. Moon doesn't have too much mana. Ken's got the Vortex, but he's actually not going to jump there.
Not using the Remnant either for the vision over the trees, but lucky enough to get away there on Moon. He had used his BKB up previously, and that was the 10-second. So it was probably the most effective teamfight that you're going to have on Fnatic at this point of the game, but good initiation despite the great positioning coming through from Jabs to make sure he broke that smoke, staying right underneath the ward, and yeah, it just shows the effectiveness of that Tiny if you're able to clump a lot of people up into the one position.
Yeah, they don't have the defensive factor like Execration does. We see the utility coming through from a lot of them, multiple force staffs to really give them some protection, whereas Fnatic, they don't really have that way to keep someone alive if they get jumped. There's a river cannon, very far pushed out. Wanted that arcane room, but it's going to cost him his life. He even loses the courier as well, which was a lot of the Kaya components.
Worrisome, getting a big value item through yourself, but I don't know how I feel about the Kaya. I feel like he's been picked off enough times that perhaps the stats is something that he should be prioritizing a little bit more. Go for the components of the soul booster a little bit earlier. Got the damage when they make the team fights work in their favor. It's just, can you get those team fights to happen?
Yeah, it seems like if you get the initiation, but that fight was really enabled because of the ward that they placed previously. Seeing Raven on the back line, it allowed them to jump forward and blow him up with. They had the Orchid, the Tiny follow-up as well, who is in trouble. Moon's going to be able to bring him down at the bottom side, and yeah, they get that ward up top as well, which did secure them at least one big team fight. But Fnatic hit back, getting the Aegis and the cheese as well. Moon's also level 25. He went for the Edict explosions, but the Hex also freshly picked up here. And Fnatic, they're going to try and look to get some extra objectives as well, as they're going to walk in bot. Only the Enchantress so far has a buyback in this game.
Yeah, and we've even got the Abyssal Blade coming out for Raven here, so not just the Aegis, but also that little bit of extra tankiness coming through.
Oh, that was nice hook shot. Look at the follow-up, Jabs overclocking, just shreds him down. You couldn't get much better than that for Jabs. Just finds 2 heroes, kills him off instantly, and they both don't have buybacks. So that's 2 full sets of Rax advantage, and Fnatic, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a lot more. You see how fast they can push.
Minus armor plus the explosions. This is Vegas. This is the game.
Do they even want to leave though? I mean, you've got the Aegis cheese to utilize. Yes, you did use the overclocking, but hookshot's already back up, and with them not buying back, it's going to reveal that they don't have it. So let's see what they can do in span of 20 seconds here. And I mean, already tier 4 is going to drop, and Moon's got the Edict backups already. They've got to do something. BDZ and Ken, what can you do? He is going to be back up pretty shortly. They get both the tier 4s, but the thrones exposed. They don't have to glyph. Look at the damage. They're going to go now because the Z4 instant hits bro, catches the storm. Horse as well. They're taking a decent amount of damage, but it's not going to matter without the buybacks rating. They don't have the numbers to be able to bring them down. Execration gonna try and do it all and hope that the Spectre can turn it. Toss back in. Matsos will end up falling. Force the Spectre. Just again, without the lives, they really needed that extra couple. Probably like an 8v5 if they were gonna try and defend the high ground. And Fnatic, they just run a rampant inside the fountain. They go. Game runs for them.
Pretty dominant. I mean, that laning stage went a little better for them than I was expecting. Despite the fact that they didn't, put the clockwork together with the Enchantress and the Lifestealer. Midas, for once, turns out to be a
seconds. It is Radiant's ban.
Execration Fnatic Game 2's draft now underway, and we saw Fnatic be able to hit back in that game 1. You know, they've gone against some pretty tough opponents so far throughout the groups, and slowly starting to get that cohesion down pat. You've got to keep in mind this is a pretty new roster as well, but I was very impressed with how Fnatic were able to execute in game 1.
5 seconds remain. Radiant's turn to ban. Seconds remain. 5 seconds. Dire's turn to ban.
Does execute as effectively as Fnatic did. They've banned the Omni Knight already. Does that mean the Sven's coming out?
Well, I imagine Fnatic are probably going to ban the Sven again, right? Considering they don't have first pick. I don't think they'll let that little cheese go through unless they want to. Yeah, unless they feel like they want to verse it, although, you know, a little bit of difference in the ban for Execration. They get the Timber and the Leshrac. Last game they banned out the Ire instead of the Lesh here, so might give them an opportunity if they want to pick it up themselves in the first pick, because it is available now with this event getting, which probably would have been something they were looking for. And now Fnatic, as if that Ire gets let through to their next pick, you know, they might even pick it up as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a couple of times IO Undying +1, you know, and just make that +1 this indomitable force, whether it be not necessarily Alchemist before. We've seen it done obviously with the Sven, PA, Spectre, even a Bristleback of that nature. So it's just about just simple strats that's coming out. It kind of forces, considering they've let the PA through, Fnatic to deal with this potential. There's even the Magnus that's been let through as well. So you basically know what one of the next bans are going to be, but they just end up going for the IO pick here. Why not? But I think I'd still be picking PA. It's one of those heroes.
Yeah, and if they don't pick up the Phantom Assassin here, it's more than likely going to get banned out for Fnatic, so you're going to have to get 2 of your callers very early in the draft, but they have such a strong combo together as they go lean.
Trying some mind games with Fnatic, maybe?
Well, it does give you a very nice strong lane, like you said, but also this burst opportunity to be able to break down the IO and get rid of kind of that sustain factor, which is really important.
And Fnatic, I don't think they were banking on this. We're like, oh, okay, this is now a really hard lane.
Drow range.
Having to be very passive. They're gone for the Drow instead. Okay, well, they're going to need a lot to be able to protect themselves against any kind of deep initiation that's going on here. Of course, the Slardar, great at doing that. PA still available, very, very good against the Drow Ranger. You know, multiple ways to gap close against her. Still all of the spirits available as well. We know Execration aren't shy about picking up those. No Mars, I suppose, which would have been really nice against this this Drow. But with picking the Slardar, that's not so likely unless they opted to run it mid. Doesn't really fit their playstyle though.
I'm trying to think if they want to ban out the Venge here from Execration. This has been, I saw the Ire Venge plus the Drow a decent amount through China a bit ago in the last tournament. We haven't seen it yet so far, so I'm just intrigued to see if they want to just make sure that Fnatic don't get that, you know, Drow combo with the Venge. We're going to see Fnatic ban out a couple of the better carries to deal with the Drow. The Spectre have to anticipate that the PA is going to get banned. If it gets let through the second phase, I'd be so surprised.
Yeah, then goes. If I'm Execration, I'm probably wanting to get rid of a Tide Hunter as well. Just anything that's going to be able to just stand themselves between the Drow and the full Execration lineup and prevent them from just running on straight through. Mars is great at it. You know, the arena just provides you with what, 5-6 seconds of, you know, you're not able to do anything basically, and especially if you've got to force stuff, if you've got to relocate, you can get away. Their big priority is, look, let's just prevent them with getting in on top of us. So, in my opinion, that's what's going to come next. It's going to be something like a Tide Hunter that you need to burst through, and then from Fnatic's side, maybe they'll look to get rid of something else that's capable of jumping. There's no Sven, no Spectre, no PA, maybe a Storm, but
5 seconds.
not feeling quite so strong about it. Slark.
Yeah, we haven't felt Storm have too hot of a success rate so far. I asked him what it is through BTS, but it hasn't looked too strong so far. There we go. We'll be able to find that one out. Trying to see when the Drow is picked up. I've seen a lot of the Phantom Lancer bans in particular. That hero doesn't get played pretty much at all at the moment, but it is one of the better ways to deal with a Drow. So Fnatic want to just go for more of a conventional ban to protect the position 1 here for Raven, or if they want to go in another route. I really like the Tide ban, like you highlighted, because it's just some way to sit in the front. It's very similar to the Mars as well, where you've got this kind of, you know, big ulti, more like for the arena, and there is that Tide ban. But it's just heroes that sit in the front line. You've got an ultimate that can kind of, you know, force them to sit in one side, and it just allows the Drow to free right click on the back line. And you know, we've seen Puck be a very good example of that as well. That was in yesterday's match. It was our last game of the night where they were able, it was the Neon match where they had the Drow and the Puck, and then they, you know, dropped that coil, just gave so much space for the Drow to freely siege on the back. So having someone who, you know, Puck isn't really kind of that front line, but at least it does give you a very nice way to allow the Drow to freely hit it with the coil. I was gonna say it's definitely felt hit or miss. I feel like the issue with the Storm is that you can kind of make plays if you get a relatively decent timing with Orchid, but if you die a couple times when you have that Orchid, your game falls off a cliff.
I feel like whether they do it now or not is up for question. Okay, so they're going for an Arc Warden ban. Yeah, I don't mind it. It allows them to lay things out a little bit. I don't know if Execration are going to want to pick something like a Puck with their 4th pick overall, but I feel like if they don't, Fnatic are going to ban it out in this last stage, just because, again, it's something else that just takes a lot of attention away from Alina. And if Alina, even as a pos 4, is able to just sit back and cast her spells, it's kind of similar to a Zeus, where you're just able to dish out so much damage. But obviously the downside to the hero is that if you can get it on top of her, super squishy. So it's just about trying to create that space and prevent the enemy team from allowing that sort of stuff to happen.
And we see the Enchantress picked up once again here for Fnatic. DJ had a bit of a rougher time in the laning stage for the Enchantress, died more times than you would kind of expect for this hero, but it is a good way to deal with the slaughter. You've got that enchant, so making it very difficult with his mobility from the Guardian Sprint, and you're also ranged yourself, so 2 range in the lane is going to be able to play the distance, harass pretty nicely. Lina can kind of trade pretty decently here too, though.
Yeah, it's not too bad in the laning stage. I think the big advantage is the attack range with Alina, right? Like, it's not anymore that the Enchantress has that untouchable pre-ultimate, so you're always going to be able to get some decent trades off there. Of course, if you're out of position even once, that just means the Ench can get one right click off, run away, huge amount of burst damage coming through there. So Carson will be a little bit careful, and it looks like it's the Undying coming through for Execration instead. So they're happy to go for this brawly sort of style. Takes it a bit away from Fnatic, but I suppose they'd already had their supports picked up, so not really all that concerned about that being the case. But no real big tomb hitters like Drow. I guess Drow can hit the tomb and she's alright with it, but I always wants to be in a safe space. He never wants to be in there on the front lines. So area denial seems like the the name of the game here for Execration. I feel like their game plan is going to be to try and choke Fnatic into these little pockets of space and then take these team fights where you can toss the tombstone onto the high ground, and they end up picking the Storm Spirit for themselves. A little bit of a block pick coming out here. But the bonus now for Execration is they know what the enemy mid laner is. They know that they can potentially go for a direct counter to it, and they're going to opt for the Void Spirit. We've seen many times Void Spirit just straight up beating the Storm Spirit in the lane because of being able to dodge out a lot of this harass that might be coming out from the ranged hero that you might not be expecting.
I know how much of a fan I am with the Storm this pick. Like, you got Lina and Void Spirit. They're both two Yules builders. We saw what the Lash could do last game. That one Yule setup. Storm's incredibly squishy, so if you get caught out, like, Execration are gonna kill you. And we've seen how the Void matchup works here.
I don't want to say it felt a little like they were scared of the Storm Spirit and they're just wanting to make sure that Raven has the easiest game possible, but it feels like that a little bit. They're just wanting to make sure that there's absolutely nothing that can stop this Drow Ranger. So last pick going to be very important for what is, well, assume the position 1 left to come from Execration. So many pos 1s banned out now. Basically every single one being used. Yep, there we go. Yeah, the Faceless Void, of course, another one. If you're able to catch the IO inside the Chronosphere, it gates a lot of the effectiveness coming through from that one. So, I mean, what's left? That's the big question that we need to ask. What's going to be able to fight against this Drow, not care all that much?
10 seconds.
PL is one I'm thinking, because they really don't kill illusions, and I do like it versus the Drow. We don't see the hero much, but even then, whenever the Drow is still getting picked up, a lot of the time the Phantom Lance is getting banned. My only worry, if you pick PL, it looks like such a good Underlord game. Already against the Void Spirit, you want this front line, someone to build auras, then it's going to help to kill off the illusions. So I feel like if you go PL, then Underlord's value just gets increased even more.
I'm going to say a Chaos Knight for Execration. They're pretty heavily single target focused right now. Of course, you've got the multi-shot, and Storm can dish out some AoE damage, and it means that Underlord would be a pretty damn high priority. But, I don't know, the CK, you can go for something that's a little bit more... I feel like it's not going to be a hard carry regardless. Okay, PL, it's okay. You build the Manta, you were able to get out of the Gust. It's hard for an Enchantress to deal with a PL, to be sure. Same thing with an IO. I think it's fine. Both are good. The what I was thinking on the CK train was get a Blink Dagger, get right in on the back lines, deal with the Drow Ranger that way, and then the entire Fnatic lineup basically crumbles. But gonna be a PL. It's a fine pick too.
Fnatic now. I still really like the Underlord, the Sand King. Potentially, it's one of the better ways to also deal with the illusions. Gives them another jump with the Storm. It's not the greatest lane with the IO though. Like, no, both the Underlord and the IO are not really going to utilize the that overcharge. I guess Underlord a little bit more. So if they were trying to think of someone to play with that, so is that like really out of a realm of possibility here with the IO on their team?
It's not, and it gives them another person that's frontlining, which is all right. Maybe they might even just choose to go, like you mentioned, the Underlord or the Sand King. But the thing is, you want to be able to leave them alone, just not at the very beginning. I think you might even need to change things up, put the Enchantress with them, make sure they're at least able to get up to, let's say, level 3, and then the Edge can leave the lane. Go for a tri-lane towards the bottom side. But it's an Ember Spirit, something completely different. What are we seeing here? So it's an off-lane Ember Spirit, huh? I've seen Masaros play some unconventional styles of threes. Like he's played the Quap, he's played the... Well, Void Spirit's a bit less so, but I cannot recall the last time I've seen an off-lane Ember Spirit. I've seen pos 4, I've seen mid, I've seen safe lane, not pos 3.
Yeah,
so...
the only time I think I've seen it was when XXS on Asta. They tried to run it a couple times. You said he can play some unconventional heroes. Is the Ember a little bit too experimental though for this game?
They're a bit squishy, I gotta say that much, and especially when you're going up. Sure, you've got the IO for yourself to heal, but I feel like killing isn't the reason you're picking it. You're just taking it to deal out even more damage with Raven, with that overcharge. So going up against an Undying with a hero that's going to be reasonably hard to kill on Yori's Phantom Lancer, and of course the Slardar, provided your positioning is good, is going to take a little bit of time to kill. So I'm feeling a bit stronger about Execration this time around.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of their draft as well. I think it just outrounds it very well, and usually the Ember is going to be someone who can actually deal with the illusions, but in this position 3, you're not going to have as much farm priority as what you kind of would on the position 2. So I'm intrigued to see on what his item build is going to be. If it will be, you know, the kind of the maelstrom that we see more often to help kill with the illusions, or what's really the play here for Masteros, because he might like this. Ember doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to tank up though, which is like because they don't really have someone to tank on the front line. But now you don't really have someone to kill the illusion. So like, well, yeah, I don't know what the item build is. It's a tricky one. It's tricky. It's they've definitely thrown a spanner in the works here. I don't know how this is going to end up faring, but you know, Execration, it's a draft that's looking, you know, pretty sound for them. We'll see if Fnatic. I mean, I think Fnatic have, at least the way they can win it is pretty similar to last game, where they just need to run this over and, you know, get on top before the Phantom Lancer really comes online, and you know, that's kind of the big one. If this goes late, I trust the PL, but can he get to that stage?
Yeah, he's actually found out Raven here on the top side. Does he have anything to slow him down? No Orb of Venom or anything like that, but a couple of right clicks will Raven a little bit annoyed. Might even be forced to pop a Tango earlier than he might like, but that Blackstone's definitely going to come into the equation from BDZ.
The match of matches starts.
Go love some good old tower regen.
It's the extra one.
Looks like he won't be forced to go for the Tango now just because of that. Could have even run back towards the... I guess they would have body blocked it, so he couldn't do that for the extra little bit of regen. So yeah, Raven's going to be right. Just the nuisance that they are, and this is going to be a very aggressive lane for Execration up top.
How good that ward is, though, that RR just placed down. I think it's just out of range of the power rune, so... Oh well. It's unconventional, we can say that much about it. You know, DJ's going straight up to this top side.
Where are you going?
So, actually sticking together with that, so it's going to be the IO Ember Spirit going together. Can't say I recall the last time this was a lane.
Maybe when they had the dual lanes back together at mid, but definitely not in the side lane. And please, my only request in the next patch, don't have dual mid lanes again. Like, just keep it 1v1. Like, that's the most exciting. No one wants to see 2 heroes mid. Just if anything's gonna happen, keep the 1v1.
I like this, you know, I want to see more. I feel like there's enough potential for tri-lane matchups now, you know. I just want to see level 1 Roche back. That's my big thing. Make it rewarding, give people the option. Just always love the sneaky plays like that, you know.
Yeah, I think we've you know, both been agreeing throughout the group stages that, you know, Dota feels like it's at its best when a lot more heroes are viable and there's a lot more opportunities that you can, you know, play throughout every game here. It just kind of, you know, doesn't make it boring, and we can kind of see these, you know, cool new things come out as, yeah, they get the level 2 on Fnatic's looking to punish there, and very nicely done. This is the lane, you know, we weren't really expecting with the Ember IO, you know, haven't really seen it in a side lane, and or at least down in the off lane, I should say, and it's able to pick up first blood here.
I'm liking it from Masteros and Jabs just because they're using that Flame Guard to constantly push the wave underneath the tower as much as possible. It means they're able to get this pull off, you know, now that you've got the level advantage and the first blood, put the equilibrium a bit more in your favor. But more importantly, when they were going for those trades onto RR, Yori had to focus on trying to get these last hits under tower, and at this low level, you're going to have a lot of difficulty. He ended up missing probably 2 or 3 somewhat easy ones. And yeah, RR ended up going down as well as a result. So good little victories due to these minor plays coming through from Fnatic.
Do see Ken's having a pretty decent time with mid lane so far. 15-4, a little bit ahead of the Storm Spirit at the moment. And I mean, he's already got his bottle picked up. Same with Moon as well. So we'll be intrigued to see with any rotations coming through by the power runes and how involved the Void Spirit can get across the map. Because his level 6 is going to feel just a little bit more impactful than the Storm, without really having to rely on having full mana like the Storm does for that ulti to have too much of an impact here.
Yeah. Speaking of the Storm, this mid lane gone probably a little better for Fnatic than Execration might have been expecting. Dead even on the CS essentially, and 2 empty bottles waiting there. So the rotations start to come. We can see BDZ is going to see what DJ's up to. Gets zapped once by the Harpy Stormcrafter, but he's going to make his way towards that mid lane sooner rather than later.
Raven's got a decent side of the creep equilibrium at the moment, so this might enable DJ to actually help out mid, knowing that the Drow is going to be just CSing under tower. They will have a double wave coming through in mid lane though. Moon brawling up with Ken at the moment. It looks like he's going to be fine. Jab's even going to TP in.
He's getting a good amount of harass here onto DJ. He's forced to use the enchant just to be able to run away, and he's going to secure the deny through for BDZ. He might die for it, but
see if we can get the Roche kill, please, sir. No, just swipe a little bit too late. Moon picks it up, and he's also got Ire just, you know, already with the bottle here, so Jabs might even be able to give him a little bit extra health and mana back, considering he wasn't able to pick up that haste. But Fnatic, they got 2 kills at the moment. Mid lane actually, Moon. The Remnant sets up for the LSA. Nicely done. BDZ TP'd in to try and refill the bottle from Ken, and just able to also find a kill. Meanwhile, DJ is just going to deny himself to the top side, but that's a big kill to find here for Execration.
So, 5-minute mark coming up. Yori's going to try his best to contest Masaros, but he's looking pretty healthy. You can see why he wants to max out that Flame Guard ASAP. Means that PL's not really going to be too much of a factor in the early stages. It's just going to be all about your positioning. Are you going to be able to dodge out a lot of these spell combinations coming through from the Lina? Going to be attempting to kill this Undying. Jabs with that low turn rate finishes it off. He should be okay having the bottle finished up.
This was going to end up falling, unable to really utilize the bottle charges there. Mastros does at least get a return kill. Meanwhile, we even see DJ also falling up to the top side there. So 2 deaths there for Fnatic. We see at least the Ember having a bit of a shining spot so far throughout the lane.
He is, you know, and this is one of the reasons why Masaros was highly sought after. You know, you always want a player that can keep the enemy team guessing. You know, these unconventional styles of, oh, we never expected an Ember Spirit offlane to come, because really, who does? And yeah, it just means that you're keeping them guessing, opens up the draft a hell of a lot. Really valuable once this new patch starts to come into effect.
You see Raven, gotta be careful here as well. They do know around about where he is with the volleys. Now BDZ finds the LSA, needs to try and body block up the Drow Ranger, so Repeater is going to be able to close the distance. But here come the TP rotations. Fnatic, can they get there in time? Jab's going to sidestep off the LSA. Now they're going to try and double back and turn. Repeater will be able to get the TP. No way to be able to cancel that. They didn't have enough damage as well, but it looks like BDZ well aware. He'll also TP out the volleys. Just not enough damage at the moment. Although meanwhile, down bot, Masaros, he just gets a solo kill. He does commit all his remnants though. Flame Guard's about to wear off too. Let's see if the Phantom Lancer can brawl. And it's not going to continue chasing there, so that's a solo kill for Masaros on the Undying.
Doing really nicely. The Slider had the Mango available, didn't choose to pop it to try and get the burst in onto Raven. Means that they missed the Light Strike Array, missed that attempt for the kill. Be kicking himself a little bit there, because with how effective Masaros is being in this off lane, you do need to make sure that you're curbing Raven's impact.
Well, they're going to try and attempt once again, but Raven's still got the Iron nearby, so I don't know if you get this kill. Now, you got to be careful how far you overcommit, because Raven's also got the level 6, so if they get out of range, they're going to be able to turn. DJ finds a slow. Raven trying to kite this. There's the marksmanship, and the damage is going to be there this time. And BDZ's going to be careful as well to try and give DJ some extra movement speed. The Chen is unfortunately on cooldown, so Lena's going to be able to scurry away, but man, beautiful placement there from Jabs, really just protecting the Drow Ranger, and it's just an extra death here up top.
Good timing to come in as well by DJ. Make sure he gets off that enchant, slows him down. It was nicely played by VDZ as well. I thought it was a little odd that Rapido decided to try and make the engagement go then, because he had a double creep wave coming into his tower. So VDZ actually made sure that he was able to redirect that, make it not just feed immediately underneath the tower. So now Rapido is at least able to be farming underneath and relatively safely.
So we see at the moment it looks like Mastro's kind of just taken over this bottom side. He's top of the net worth on the Ember. He's going to try and continue starting to shove the lane in. You've got to keep in mind that Radiant, well, they kind of get some extra abilities, or at least some help in some items, I should say. It's going to be very difficult for them to control up Masteros.
Yeah, he might even look for an aggressive movement towards Yori as well after he takes this wave plus the small camp. No, he's just going to go. He's got those 4 points into the flame guard.
Radiant.
It's deadly.
They're attempting to infiltrate. I wonder if Dire want to double back here. They got the ward on the high ground. If Masteros comes over, they kind of fight a little deep and can kind of maybe have the Drow sitting on the back, but no, they drop the ward. Moon's still going to be pretty careful here, Remnant. Gonna sidestep that one, just off the mark. Looks like they just want the stack instead. Although, do they want to contest this? Moon's long zip. Gonna jump back out here. They still aren't coming over with Masteros, so it looks like they're really not thinking about taking this engagement.
That observer word providing a lot of information. DJ was ready to come in and help influence the team fight, but just not wanting to run into 4 heroes on Execration's side.
Nice deep ward as well from Jabs. Gets the observer ward away instantly, so now that's going to kind of limit the vision that Execration are going to be able to dish out. We saw them trying to infiltrate and really disrupt the stacks that, you know, Storm Spirit likes to take so often. And, you know, Raven's already up to farming over the Ancients, has the Iron Talon, even the help of Jabs. And, you know, this is a pretty early level 6 as well from your Ira. Even the Enchantress at decent timing at the moment as well. So, you know, we'll potentially see these early relocates to help find the kills. And they've got a lot of mobility though, like Storm and Ember across the map now. Ira with the relocate potential, so you know, they might be able to get a couple of pickoffs soon.
And that's the bonus of having this IO to help out the Ender Spirit in the lane, especially if you get a couple of these kills. All you need against a PL is levels right now. You've got that Flame Guard maxed out. He's going to have to be a little bit careful. 4 heroes here, but they missed this crush onto him, so he's going to be able to get away. Straight back down to the bottom side. Siege creep available. 4 heroes. They're pretty happy with how this is all going, and halfway towards the mechanism as well on Jab, so that buckler's going to do a lot of good to be able to just assist with these creeps staying alive.
PL has also had a pretty good time so far, top of the net worth, and he's trying to get closer and closer towards the Diffuser Blade, which will allow him to show up to fights a little bit earlier than what you would expect if he went for like a Yasha, just to more increase his farm. And you know, this Phantom Lancer is going to be a big threat as the game goes on. Relocate up top.
Just fixing the lanes a little bit, not going for any sort of kill. Maybe a little bit premature on it. The multi-shot wasn't quite available yet, so he's actually just going to reload back as it comes off cooldown, but I mean, we can spin that in a good way. He's just going to push out this bottom lane really fast. Not opting to use it straight away though, wants to, well, okay. Does, because you want to try and maybe keep that siege creep alive, force a bit more of the reaction to the bottom side when you've got your own creep wave alongside it to tank up some of those tower hits.
And imagine if they had reload right now with Moon's Arcane Rune. Really would be nice to be able to find the kill on Rapido, who just misses the timing with the crush, although Moon's still getting very aggressive here without the Vortex used early, but he's just got the damage. Those overload procs with the help of the Remnant, and then Arcane Rune really paying out to play there. Just the cooldown reduced on the abilities enable him to find that kill. So it's a big one for Moon here. He's 2-1 at the moment, 90, 4 last hits, 95, so he's getting closer to a couple of these early items. And you know, we see Dire as well. They've got some very nice vision at the moment, kind of that line drawn from the bot side all the way to the river, really just kind of protecting their bottoms half of the map and making it very difficult for Execration to find their movements inside the triangle too.
There is no unknown information right now for Fnatic. They know where everyone is. It's just this tiny little pocket of the Radiant Tri-Camp. That's the only place that these heroes could be if they're not in vision right now. So really well done by DJ to be able to have that. Contrast that to Execration's vision, and it's basically, oh, we know the safe space where we're playing right now. That's about it. But we've got a smoke coming through here. Asteros, he's smoked up on his own. No, he's got DJ alongside of him. He's got no creep alongside him as well though, so it'll be a little bit difficult to try and take out this PL just with the two of them.
This is a hard kill.
Reload.
See if they can, I mean, do they want to dive onto the tier 2 tower? Phantomlance is going to try and juke with the illusions. Nicely done. Gives him some space. Now Mastros as well is completely out of mana with the Diffuser Blade being able to burn him down, but the Phantomlance, they found the real one. Tombstone up with the high gun. Fnatic, they've dived too far. DJ's going to attempt to TP out as a way to cancel it. They've left Moon as well, but he's got some mana into the zip. Fnatic, somehow they all make it out.
Very ballsy.
That was, I mean, that was right before Mastros picked up the Maelstrom, which would have just been a much easy way to find the real PL, and diving deep like that could have been incredibly costly, considering, you know, that's a high risk kind of play from them, and now you see Radiant, they're actually going to try and just spoke up now for an answer.
Yeah. Mentioned that Maelstrom would have been potentially very effective. Jabs as well, only rolled away from Mech. Who are they found? Oh, not right.
Jabs in trouble, nicely done with the silence. It's going to give him some protection to be able to turn down. Jabs turns over, gets the silence off before the form stun. And now Ken's in trouble. He's already used all the ultimate charge. I have no idea how Raven got off the gust there, but it just enabled Fnatic to TP in and secure 3 kills, you know, punishing that aggressive movement.
It's all about Moon. He was there, he followed up, he was instant to zip in, made sure the Light Strike array didn't come off after the combinations through from the Slider and the Void Spirit. Amazing play by him, allows the Wisp to link up, the Gust to go off, and well, if the Drow has no one hitting her, she is pretty damn happy. So real heads up plays coming through.
They're going to try and defend the tower here from Execration, but they're still going to be careful how far they want to continue, because Dire have a ward on the high ground as well, but they're not really grouped up. They just want the bounty. Jabs is, see if he gets one with the shovel as well. No, he's not going to. So, I mean, Radiant are all coming down bot, but they might actually get no bounties here, as already Fnatic is set up there. Jabs won't be able to get the secondary one at the top side, but they found though. Jabs in trouble off of the reload. Just got the tether away. Repeater's going to try and reveal the blink. Now, how far do you want to dive? Because you're slowed up for the volley. Now, with the rotations that are coming through, they want to try and get involved here and punish another deep attempt. But now Ken finds Enchantress off inside. This turn, they won't have a way to be able to disrupt the LSA follow-up here. But they are going to try and at least get the creep shoved in mid, so Execration won't be able to get an objective after the pick-off there. But they're still hunting. Repeater on top of the side finds the Ire. And so Raven's going to work, and once again with Silence holds up to 2. The straight on top of there with Phantomlance along with Campbell is going to get a massive amount of kill thanks to Jab's mechanism. Now they're going to turn. Mastros controlling in with the 2-man change. Peter's still going to try and get it work. They deal with the Ire, but he's got a triple kill, and they're not done just yet. Phantomlance tries to utilize that rush, but it's on the high ground. Can they have a way to cancel this? Vortex just in the nick of time. Fnatic, they punish once again. 5-man wipe, and we're just seeing, I mean, these silences are really preventing and the Ire, the amount of sustain. If you don't burst them down, if you don't kill this Ire, then, you know, diving incredibly deep like that just gets even more difficult.
Haste!
If you've ever played Team Fortress, hit the little guy with the beam really is the strat, because Raven had no right to live in that team fight. You know, he had the IO linked up to him, he had his mechanism on cooldown. By the way, relocating on top of BDC, they'll be able to take out this tower with the help of the seed.
They might lose a couple of heroes though. Execration coming. Oh, actually, they're going to force it. Alright.
They're just going to reload back out, yeah. They don't have the burst without Lina. Nice try.
Radiant should
But yeah,
look to their middle
full wand, mechanism. I mean, if they stopped going on him, he even had a healing salve throughout all of that.
Ara still in the level 5 repeater. He's going to try and counter-initiate, but Moon's still got enough mana to be able to follow up. Ken's coming over and get the healer scepter. Moon actually might be in trouble here. Not enough mana now to jip out afterwards. And Storm will fall. I was just about to say, we might be seeing the first game of Storm being able to find a victory throughout the group stages so far, but when he's going to end up dropping, unfortunately, that does give a lot of gold over to the Phantomlance, 563.
Might even result in them losing this tier 1 tower as well. Not sure how I feel about the Storm being locked on the Agi treads throughout all of that gank, but oh well, he tried his best to be able to get away. You can't fault his early game other than that, so they're making another movement in here onto DJ. He takes an absolute chunk there.
That bash just shut him down. Conqueror's done a little bit too late, so that's another kill for Execration. Now it's going to allow them to try and shove out the lanes through these little pickoffs and still delaying it for the Phantom Lancer to be able to find the items down. It's got the defusal, the hood completed. We do see though Raven still sitting pretty comfortably on the top of the net worth.
Sitting comfortably, Jabs is doing a good job again getting these stacks off for him. Nice little bonus for the IO as well. He's going to be getting closer and closer to that Ring of Tarask. It's going to be really helpful just to increase the sustained potential for Raven. For Ambrace too.
Oof. Robo for the Drow, that's going to be pretty nice here. Moon's even got the Pupil's Gift as well, so just got that Orchid delivered, gets a solo kill on the Lina. Now he's got 2k HP as well on the Strength Tread, so we'll see how many aggressive moves the Storm can make. Really needs to kind of hunt the Lina throughout these fights and try and kind of disrupt the follow-up stun lock that they are requiring here to be able to lock in the Fnatic lineup. And even Mastros, what's he got? 3,300 gold in the banks. A lot at the moment he hasn't committed for the BKB or the Aghanim's just yet. They're attempting Roche. I mean, I guess they got the Corrosive Haze, but with no one defending bot, it might get pretty obvious soon. Someone's pinging it out. I'm not sure if it's Mastros or not, though. This is taking a bit too long. Surely Dire are going to know.
They're either going to know, or they're going to take the tier 2 and still be able to contest it.
Well, they're going to have to go now. No one does anything. No one's showing in the lane. Like, this is... Pings are finally coming through, but it's now being claimed. It took them ages, but Phantom Lancer will be able to pick up that extra life for him to be able to utilize. And well, Fnatic do get the tier 2 tower right by that 20-minute mark, so they're going to be able to control both the outposts here at least.
Small victories. Yeah, the outpost really impactful, especially considering how underleveled this Undying is. Level 7, nearly at the 20-minute mark. Want to be approaching around that level 10 point at this stage because, especially as you've got the Aegis, you want to be fighting as much as possible. You've got that small advantage there.
Arcane power is under attack.
It's BDZ that picks it up. I suppose the Arcane, so the cast range is going to be quite nice, combined together with the Aether Lens, just for that little bit of extra range, maybe catching out the IO. I hope with their team comms that they're going to be focusing a lot more and bringing down the medic there. And he's finished a lot up. He's level 10 now. Looks like they're keen to group up and smoke with this Aegis that's just been picked up by the PL, looking to go to the same side of the map as him. Just going to be all down to the support hero placement right now.
We on the top in lane. They're going to be able to chain lock him down here. Nice smoke gank. Mastros tries to get there. He's a little bit too late. So has the Aghanim, so bouncing back in and out. Wants to go follow up with an extra remnant, but the perfect crush finds the combo now with the LSA. It's the remnant. Do that. The Dems got to break him down. Jab's going to come through with the mech now. Do they want to turn? Moon is going to buy back. They want to rejoin the fight into the balls from downtown. They've already been able to find 2 heroes and Execration make it 3 as a buyback, allowing them to be able to continue chasing Execration. They want to reach the fight here, Phantom Lancer, so has his extra life to be able to utilize. You've got to be careful, Fnatic, how deep you want to try and play, but they find a way through it straight off the Jabs the medic. He's in trouble, gets the reload, it's going to provide some space for Execration.
And they're going to be able to get out. Yeah, 2 buybacks.
A big fight there. I mean, we just see that Ember Aghanim's just got picked up, and what he was able to dish out there through that engagement really made it difficult for Execration with their positioning. And well, they're holding the high ground. DJ might be in some trouble here, although Dire simultaneously just running up through the middle, and now they've Mastros on top of the backline here. Fonzie Undying Jabs. He's falling low. Moon's gonna go in at the last second. The Orchid finds the slot on Phantom Lancer. Can he do it all by himself? Because he's even going to lose his extra support. Now he's going to try and turn Storm completely out of mana, but it doesn't matter. They've already been able to deal with all the illusions now with the extra life. I mean, Void Spirit's down still for an extra 5 seconds. Not that it really would have done anything. So the timing from Raven's Gust, with no Manta available here, is going to be able to secure the kill after the Ages, and Fnatic continuing to look dominant in this second game.
Too much more that can be said about that. It's just using their timing effectively. You might think that losing the Roshan is, you know, a negative, but when you're taking a tier 2 tower, when you're getting the experience advantage from taking the outpost prior to the 20-minute mark, it's a trade that you're more than happy to make. You know, you pick this Undying to enable your strengths in team fights, but if you're not able to get off any spells or your tombstone's just doing nothing, you don't really care all that much about it. And Masteros is playing a fantastic game, it has to be said.
Yeah, I'm incredibly impressed about how well this Ember has performed so far throughout this game. I mean, I was worried that he might not have as many items to help deal with the Phantom Lancer, but we see, you know, it's really starting to come through. Even Drow's itemizing as well, going for the Aghanims next, so it's just going to further enable them to deal with the illusions. Now, look at the position on the high ground. Moon tries to jump forward, has got the DD if they can find the real Phantom Lancer if they want to go, but just still holding their high ground. Moon's got to be careful though, because the illusions are scouting. They're going to move away from their own ward, but they want to continue holding it. The smoke's going to pop from Ara. Where's the vision coming through if Masteros wants to jump? They don't have that tier 2 mid.
I don't know why they're looking to take a fight right now on Execration. They are 150 gold away from finishing up this Manta style. Only 60 gold away now from Yori. So you need that for this team fight. You saw in the last one how vulnerable he was when he has to save that doppelganger for the Gust. Now he's going to have a second way to break out of it. So there's a small potential for them to come back into this, and they could even potentially go for the straight smoke afterwards.
Void Spirit is very close to the Aghanims too, so if they're going to be able to get that item pretty shortly here, then they're going to have some pretty big timings come out, which could allow them to at least take a successful fight here. But the only issue is that Fnatic have done a very good job to kind of just pincer them inside this inside the base here. And you take a look at the vision that Fnatic once again have an advantage of, where you're pretty much seeing every opportunity on where Execration could be farming.
True. I mean, with Execration, it's not like they have to make a move though, right? You know that there's no rush.
There we go, Reload's good cover now. Now zip forward, massive chance of coming back on this. Just on the high up, it's not going to matter. Instantly, Fnatic are able to deal with it. Now the Phantom Man's going to go to work, but it's just himself now as Execration. They lose all the rest of the heroes. Jabs tries to get the relocate out. He's going to be able to keep his life, and now PL just cannot man-mode. A nice attempt with the illusion bait, but Execration have lost 4. They might even lose Ken as well. DJ's hunting. They don't have extra lockdown, and he's also got that ultimate charge. Man, Fnatic are just, they're bringing everyone down, leaving the Phantom Lancer till loss, and they are just, you know, shining in this game.
I mean, you don't really care all that much about a Phantom Lancer if you've got an Ember Spirit the whole time that's got 780 magic absorb, so that's always just going to be ticking away onto these illusions. Yes, it's nice that you got the Manta style now for that little bit of extra stats, and the real winner there was being able to take out the Tombstone immediately. They had about 5 seconds left on that Observer Ward on the high ground that's just expired, so just little things going in Fnatic's favor. So now you've got that Ag Scepter completed for Ken. I think one last team fight they've got to be able to try and turn this around. Go. PL respawns. They're trying to push the lanes out as much as possible. Find the pickoff. That's mission number 1.
Just without the vision though, they might see them in the lane up top. Yeah, they're going to see Raven and Jabs there, but this Fnatic have been able to accumulate such a high lead at the moment, where it just makes it very difficult for Execration to be able to make these plays. You see how confident they are being able to push out the lanes. Just Raven and Jabs taking the tier 2. The rest of the team finally going to link up with them. But Masteros is level 20. He's got that extra plus 65 spike of his hero damage, and it's just going to further in. They found it. Crush in the silence. LSA follow up with a 4-stop's going to give him some space here. Now they use both the Resonant Pulse charges, and Ken's going to be careful. He's got an ultimate out with slows and chains from Masteros, blocking up both in. Just look at the follow-up here. Even Storm's going to try and zip on the back line. He's found the slaughter. There's no extra help coming through from Execration. They gotta even be careful if they show their own faces here up on the high ground, as they could just get jumped instantly as Fnatic. I mean, 3 down once again. They're going to walk up the high ground here, and Raven now going to work on the tier 3 tower.
Yeah, no Tombstone that fight, no Flesh Golem, just means that the Undying is able to get burst down super quick. Oh, they're even going in deep again onto the Lina, and it's just one of these things where, like, you can see what he's trying to build into. He's got the Staff of Wizardry prepped, whether that's for a eventual build into a Yule Scepter, or if it's just for a 4-star, who knows. But I feel like when you're at this point, when you're just being run at and killed at the start of every single fight before you're able to get off your combo, you gotta just go into and be adaptable. Like, build a couple of braces, so at least you're living for that little bit longer. You give the Undying time to try and heal you up. You take a little bit more focus off the rest of your cores. Maybe you kill the IO and things can turn in your favor. But just Fnatic, kudos to them to keep the pressure up.
Uh-oh, they're scanning exactly where the Phantom Lancer is, so they're going to move forward on Moon. Instant silence. And I mean, just beautiful understanding of where the PL is going to be farming. That scan just finds the kill. Now they can just go back in mid as well. Raven force-ups aggressively on the high ground. Rips through the armor of the Undying. His health evaporates, and Fnatic are just, continuing to stay in the base after those pickoffs.
Doesn't even let him get a single D ward. It's just not fair.
Good old refresh.
Yeah, Acceptor now on the Drow Ranger, so able to deal with the PL when he is eventually a factor with the Maelstrom.
Fnatic, 30,000 net worth lead is a 100% probability at the moment. Execration, the back's against the wall here in the second game, and I mean, it's looking pretty grim at the moment. There's, at least in Dota Plus regard, no hope of them being able to take it. We'll see if they can kind of craft up at least 1% with the high ground defense, as Ken's going to go forward, Drow. Although just being able to sit so far in the front, they even just relocate just in case. Going to give them absolutely no opportunity. You drop the ward though. They want to really try and punish this relocate back in. They go forward now to the LSA. It's a little bit off the time period. Number going to try and count up the items. Freshly picked up the ball. They're striking back two. They drop the tombstone at least, but look at Mastros on top of the back line. Finds the squishy Luna, just not allowing her to freely dish out the abilities. And it might be time here from Execration. It's been a masterclass performance from Fnatic. It's as long as it's been from Moon. The buybacks are coming through, but no more are available at the moment here. As does he get no? Oh, what?
Well, he went back and he got taunted in his own base. All right.
I'm over here. It's a beta game. Got to keep that in mind.
Oh, true. But yeah, Maslo's there just using his refresher shard, making sure that, refresher orb, making sure he has two versions of that 780 magic absorb, means that he's always able to output damage onto
Is this where you want to be, Masros? It's going to get stunned up here, the crossfold as well, but they're unable to burn enough mana. We just haven't seen the Phantom Lance to be able to right click for long enough to really utilize the defusal. And I mean, it's getting to the stage where how long are you going to stay in this game? And it looks like that's not long enough. It's Execration. They're going to be forced to tap out of here. The team that was on top of the groups heading into day 4, but Fnatic put on a masterclass performance in this series.